Okay, Mayor, we are live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Port Royal April 14th council meeting. This is our regular council meeting. As you can tell, this one is being done virtually on Zoom and being publicized on Facebook. Our first item of business, of course, as always, is our Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Hayward, Mary Beth, please lead us in the pledge.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for justice.
Which stands.
I can't, yeah.
Under
One
God.
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I lost my foot and I was trying to push the buttons on the bottom. Sorry.
Thank you, Mary Beth. And
Thank you.
Councilman Ashmore, Jerry, could you lead us in an invocation, please?
Sure. Would you bow your heads and pray with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings of life. Lord, we come to you tonight at this hour asking for your blessings and your help as we conduct our meetings. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Be with each person here tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, everybody. We have a full council, so we will keep moving this agenda along. Our next item of business is we have 5 minutes that we need to approve in a packet. We have the minutes from the special meeting of March 3rd, the minutes from the public hearing of March 3rd, the minutes from the council workshop of March 3rd, the minutes from the special meeting of March 10th, and the minutes from the regular council meeting of March 10th. What is the pleasure of council?
Make a motion to approve all minutes as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion from Jerry.
Second.
We have a second from Darrell. Any discussion, changes, deletions, or additions to the minutes?
None noted.
Hearing none. Council member, again, you know, we kind of do this by order in which you happen to randomly pop up. Jerry, you're first.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell,
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth,
Mary Beth, aye.
and the mayor is also aye. Thank you. That resolves the minutes. Next, we have a proclamation for child abuse prevention proclamation. And I will read that into the record. A proclamation by the Town of Port Royal, Child Abuse Prevention Month proclamation. Whereas South Carolina future prosperity and quality of life depends on health development of the more than 1 million children residing within the diverse communities across the state. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect must be a priority that requires individual, families, child service organizations, schools, faith-based groups, businesses, governments, agencies, and civic leaders to support the physical, emotional, social, educational, and well-being of our children. And whereas child abuse is a serious public health issue with wide-ranging socialist consequences as the data shows, and the link between abuse, neglect of children in wide range, costly medical, emotional, psychological, and behavioral issues into the adult. And whereas parents and caregivers who have to support the system and the family and friends known where to find public resources, understand how to remain resilient in challenging times, are best equipped to provide safe, nurturing environments for their children. And whereas the state community prevention programs serve as a proven and effective way to reduce child abuse and neglect, no matter the geography, region, race, ethnicity, economic status. And whereas in the fiscal year 2019-2020, there were 8,924 founded Child Protective Service investigations in South Carolina. And whereas in 2020, Hopeful Horizons Kappa provided child abuse prevention training to over 3,000 children and adults. Now, therefore, I, Joe DeVito, Mayor of Port Royal, in the great state of South Carolina, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Child Abuse Prevention Month throughout the city, and encourage all South Carolinians to dedicate themselves to protecting the quality of life of every child. Thank you. Council, any comments or anything you'd like to add to that proclamation?
No, just thank you. Also, both of those organizations, Kappa and Hopeful Horizons, are both great nonprofits in the area. They do a lot of really good work. So,
We do. Brooke, do we have any representatives from either one tonight that were able to join us?
Yes, sir. I see Emma and CJ are both with us this evening.
Thank you. Emma, would you like to go first? Is there anything you'd like to add, any information you want to give us? And thank you, as Kevin just said.
Well, I think the proclamation said everything for itself. Obviously, we are not going to go out of business anytime soon. We're like Hopeful Horizons. We are needed in this state, and for all we're doing to help the children who have been hurt, to help kids from not becoming hurt, to help children have a voice through education about abuse. And we're just thankful that the council has approved this, and so thankful that y'all are taking it seriously.
Thank you. CJ, anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to say thank you on behalf of Hope Horizons and Kappa for helping us to raise awareness of child abuse prevention. We know that if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to abuse a child. And so it's going to take a village for us to prevent child abuse from happening. And we want to thank you for your efforts to helping us achieve that dream.
Thank you. Council, anything you'd like to add to or say to them?
No, I just think they've done a great job, and I hope they continue to support our community as they have in the past.
I want to say hey to CJ. I haven't seen CJ in a while. I used to work with him when I was with the South Carolina Victims Assistance Network. We see each other every month. So glad to see you doing well, man.
You too.
And Kevin, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's exciting.
Very good. Well, thanks again for all that you do. And if you ever need anything from us at the town, please reach out and let us know. I will get that proclamation signed. If you'd like copies of that, please reach out to Brooke and she'll make sure she gets you copies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good Council, our next item on our agenda is a presentation from the Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail, Dean Moss. I do see Dean is on the screen. He's going to go ahead and offer us a presentation on the status of the trail and its crossing Rebo Road into Port Royal and its plans. Dean, you are muted at the moment, so please clear your mute whenever you're ready and go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity, members of council. And let me make one point here before I go too far down this road. The Friends of the Trail really have no official role here. This is really a matter for council and I believe Beaufort County Council. The Friends are just kind of being, loud mouths and pushing ideas and trying to alert people and make people understand things that we need to do. I've briefed most of you before, and I'm not really going to say anything different this evening. The trail currently ends at Smile Axe, which is on your screen right there on the left side with the circle, right by Rebo Road, and the dotted line extends from where the trail ends now at Smile Axe Avenue on down into Port Royal. And the master plan that was approved by the county and I believe by the town, these many years ago, 2011 or so, showed the trail coming across Rebo Road right where that dotted line shows it going. So the challenge on the table and the challenge we've wrestled with, and I think that we've all wrestled with, is how do we get across Rebo Road? Rebo Road, as we are aware, is a very, very heavily traveled street. The traffic coming particularly from the Paris Island side comes up across that causeway and up a hill with a slight right turn up to that point near Pender Brothers where the trail crossing would be. It is traffic moving very fast through there. Also traffic, of course, coming from town heading out toward Paris Island as it moves toward Penders tends to, I think, to accelerate as people tend to feel that they're out of the city and they're moving away. So we've got to figure out how to get across there, and mostly we've got to figure out how to get across there safely. There are three options, which I've discussed, I think, with most of you. First, the ultimate option, I believe, one ultimate option is that the planned road, the spine road, which has been in the Port Royal Master Plan for a number of years, would come up to Rebo Road. That presence of that road would cause a full intersection to be built there, and the trail would cross at that intersection. The second alternative is the Hawk signal, which would go into that same spot. The Hawk is essentially it's a walking pedestrian controlled stoplight. The same thing we have right now at Highway 170 near Staples. That is in place up there, it works up there, but it is not a full intersection. So it's a different situation. And the third option is a bridge. What I'm going to do is very quickly kind of go through all three of those, and give you the pros and cons as the Friends see it. Now, again, I want to emphasize that the Friends are doing this just because we want to get this problem solved. The problem has to be resolved by you guys in the town and Beaufort County Council. And again, another critical point is before the trail crosses Rebo Road, wherever it does, it is the county's trail. Once it crosses Rebo Road, it's your trail. You will own the right of way and you will be responsible for it. So what you want is what's important here, not what the Friends want. Not what the Friends want, it's what the town wants. And I think that I can't emphasize that enough. So the first option basically would put the trail right there, crossing at Penders with a full intersection. Until the problem is that DOT is not going to approve an intersection there unless there's a road. And although we could figure out how to put a road in there in a short stretch and put Penders coming out at that spot and the landscape company coming out at that spot, that's not going to do it. We've got to have a full road, and we've got to be able to document to some extent to DOT that a signal is, quote, warranted, unquote, in that spot. Right now, we don't have a road. Right now, we don't even have we don't have a design for a road. We don't have the funding to put the road in. So at this point, planning to come across in that spot will be a future project. Before then, we then would move, as we have been doing, turn as you come down the trail, you would turn left onto Smilax, and you'd move back across to Paris Avenue and cross at that light. And part of the solution there, if we decide to do that, would be to improve the street quality near the trail. That means paving it in some way. That's a short section of dirt there going up to Smilax, where Smilax pavement begins, as well as additional signage and other indications to make that a safer and more appealing and pleasant journey for folks that want to get into downtown Port Royal. If, however, a signal were to come in at Edinburgh, and it's possible that that can happen if those properties where the X's are on the map were to be developed, then the same process could be followed on a temporary basis, bring you to a light at Edinburgh with signage, and use a temporary crossing to get into Edinburgh, and that would put you in the Port Royal street grid. But that's not going to happen until there's a road across there. It's the safest approach of the straight at grade crossings. It is the most direct route. It's probably ultimately the lower cost, since the cost of the signal itself would be shared by the trail and by the transportation side, the road side of the project. And there are some issues there. If you put the road in, you take care of the Pender driveway, the landscaping driveway, you improve the safety all the way through there in that intersection space. And you also slow traffic down coming into town, which I think, based upon the transportation studies that you guys have done, that I've reviewed, that's a desirable outcome, I think, for all of us. The cons are on that we've got to wait for the spine road. It's just, and who knows when that happens. We got to wait for a road crossing there. So that's alternative one. Alternative two, which we can do now, is to put a pedestrian control crossing, a hawk, they call it, signal there, and bring the trail as a permanent trail down to the street, down to Rebo along the right of way, put in the hawk signal, and then on the other side of the street, build a temporary asphalt path down the center of the right of way, down to basically Appleton and Ritter Circle, and use that point to get into the street grid. It is not ideal, but it will work. If we do it, it seems very, very important to me that we put in a fairly significant amount of safety improvements along there, which would mean, in my opinion, rumble strips, a flashing yellow light or lights, so that people knew that they were approaching a significant intersection. It's taken probably about 3 months at 170. It took about 3 months at 170 for people to get used to the idea that there was a signal there and that they had to stop, and then know what to do once they'd stop. I mean, one of the problems is it starts to blink and people don't understand that they're supposed to move forward. But it's completely doable. I believe that the DOT will approve that if the town feels that it's the strongest approach right now. And then essentially what would happen is, at the point that the road was constructed, and I believe there will be a road there, we then effectively switch over to a full intersection from the hawk. It's quite possible that when we put the signaling infrastructure in for the hawk, that signaling infrastructure can be the same infrastructure in terms of wiring under the road, the placement of the poles, et cetera, that we would need for a full intersection. So we may be able to combine both those projects, at least a lot of the structural stuff for those projects in one place. It's the most direct route. It's doable now. We will not be able to solve the Pender landscaping traffic issues there with this approach right now. The cons are that, again, it's not a full intersection, so it's going to take some real special treatment to and probably a little more money in order to make it safe. And eventually, when you put the real road back in, we're going to have to detour the trail off there for a while all that work is done. Alternative 3 is a bridge. DOT says that the bridge needs to be 18 feet over the traffic line, over the road. How we approach that bridge is a pretty critical question. If, in fact, we intend to have the path be compliant with the Americans for Disabilities Act and have it be at a ramp kind of grade that will allow people, who are not significantly mobile, skateboards, I mean, all the stuff that you see out there on the trail, wheelchairs, we're going to be at a 2% grade roughly, and that takes us 900 feet back on both sides of the intersection to get up to that 18-foot level. That is doable on the north side because we've got all of that right of way right there we can work with, that we already control, or the county control. On the south side, that means a huge bridge structures coming down next to Penders and onto probably Gray Ghost property, certainly Gray Ghost property, which means a significant change to Gray Ghost property, conceivably a significant change to their vision of how that future intersection looks in terms of an entrance to their development, et cetera. It also creates some problems with the ultimate with an ultimate future intersection, and it's awkward. Can we do it? Sure, we can probably do it. The pros are that it is by far the safest because you are keeping the bikes and the people separated completely from the traffic. So you're not dealing with the concern about people running into each other or cars running into riders. It's very expensive. Probably it's a multi-million-dollar project compared to the others. Particularly, probably the Hawk Signal is in the 500,000 range. But again, it is the safest. The county is in the process of funding and has funded, and I think I explained this. They, through the accommodations tax program, put up $160,000 to cover the cost of design and permitting of a solution here. That project has been underway, interrupted by a number of things, as everything else has been in our lives. But we're going to be meeting with the county, and I think the city manager will be involved. We'll be meeting with the county tomorrow morning, their county engineers, as well as the consulting engineering team that's working on the project, which is, by the way, the same team that has worked on the entire trail. So we have a pretty good team working on this problem. So with that said, I believe that the town needs to kind of wrestle this problem some and make a decision about which of these alternatives it would prefer. Again, the friends don't have really any say here. This is your trail, and you've got to decide what to do. I know that the county has done a bunch of work around, and the city manager may be able to comment on that, but they've been doing a lot of studying in this area shown on the map here over the last 6 months. A lot of traffic counts, accident counts, all kinds of different things that they've been working on here, kind of taking your traffic study to the next level. So decisions got to be made. That's basically my presentation, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to answer any questions. And of course, I am happy at any time to meet with council, to meet with the manager, staff, to lend any assistance that I or the Friends of the Trail can do. So thank you.
Dean, thank you very much for that briefing, and I think you underestimate the power of the Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail and what it is that you have done for this community and what it is you still do for this community in getting this trail in and helping guide us through what makes sense in a way to build the trail. Council, as we know, our town manager had something come up and is not able to join us tonight on this meeting and give us a briefing. We've all had conversations about this with our town manager and with Dean. And really, I think hearing the things that Dean has said and an ability to have a unified voice for us to take something to the county and possibly even later to DOT about what it is the town prefers, a motion and some sort of a motion and a resolution on which direction we would want this trail to go, I think is an appropriate action so that the town manager has that in his hand as he meets with either the county, the DOT, or the engineers and saying, this is the will of the county council, of the town council and what they would like to see. So I'll open it up for discussion amongst council and let's hear our thoughts. And obviously Dean will answer any questions.
Mayor, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Darrell, go ahead.
Yeah, I think as a body, I think we need to review these three options and discuss it as a body and see which would make more sense or which would be more feasible for us to obtain and carry out. Definitely, I think DOT is just sitting back with their hands tied, waiting for us to make a decision because they don't want to invest. Not that they don't want to invest in anything, but they're waiting for us. And I think this is an important project. And I think if we can do anything on our end as a town to accelerate this project, I think it would behoove us to look into that and do so.
I agree with Darrell. We need, and Joe, like you said, we need to have a unified voice. You know, we need to collectively, collaboratively come together and say, this is what the town would prefer. And then you take it to whomever we need to take it to, so that we're not just giving something and have to, here you go, live with it. No, we want to influence it, and we want our say on it. And I think we need to do that. And I don't know if we need to do a motion and resolution tonight or when we need to do that. We definitely need to have some discussion, and we need to influence the decision making. That's for sure. We need to let them know what we prefer here in Port Royal.
Kevin, you want anything to add?
Didn't you say Van's meeting with the county tomorrow?
That there's a meeting scheduled tomorrow. I'll be at that meeting to see, kind of get their briefing on where they are right now. So although I think it might be, you know, if we had a resolution to put in front of them, that might be useful, but my attitude is I'd rather wait until you guys have had a chance to meet with Van and talk about this some, and you know, we'll just put them off. We've been doing this for a year. We can wait another couple of weeks while you guys sort it out. But
I thought we were kind of on the same page.
I mean, I'm more than willing to state at this time, me, the mayor, Joe, I'm not willing to wait for the road intersection to be built. I do believe that the right way to cross is cross right there at Rebo Road. I believe that a ground crossing can be done. It also enhances what we're ultimately trying to do, which is to slow traffic down on that road and make that happen. And we can put the right things in place there. You think about what happens on Highway 170, the crossing there. It's not much different than what's going to happen on Rebo Road at this crossing. And I think the hawk signal is the way to go. We all have to be comfortable with that statement. And I think you're right, a unified voice. And it looks like Councilman Maribeth may have had some issues and dropped off. I don't see her anymore. Does anybody see her? Am I having issues here?
I don't see her.
Okay, so we may have lost Councilman there. And, you know, I'm like I said, my statement's out there. That's what I believe is the right choice. I think we cannot wait for developers. We certainly cannot wait for others to do this. We have to take the lead. We've got to grab this bull by the horn, if you want to say it, and say, this is what the town has planned. This is what they've thought about. It's been an approved document for 10 years. It's been envisioned in the port design for 16 years. It's time to make sure everybody understands that this is what the town wants.
And you're talking about just extending it right there where it already is coming in by Martins and across through Penders and running it onto the port property.
Correct. And using
I agree with that. I agree with
a hawk signal now so that it can be built, it can be used. We can start getting people used to it. When the road comes later, the road will enhance that intersection even more and make it even safer in that way. I think that's the direction. That's where I lean towards this, and that's what I think is where we should go. We can have this discussion tonight and then forward the information to Van and tell Van we want a resolution ready for next council meeting to be ready to vote on if that's what council is thinking about here tonight.
I'm fine with that. Kevin's got something. Then I've got another point I want to make, but I'll let Kevin go first.
Yeah, I was just going to ask just if Dean could touch on just the funding sources for the traffic stop, where just part of that discussion, and then it's from the town. What are our options for funding sources for once it gets across the road?
Well, Kevin, what I'm thinking of is this needs to be dealt with as one project. So in other words, getting the trail built down to the road, getting it across, and getting it down to Ritter is one project. So we got to deal with that as one challenge. My tendency is to say that the county's accommodations tax funding is sufficiently healthy. And I believe even despite the COVID, I believe that they are going to be in pretty good shape. And so my attitude would be that we should aim for convincing them to put the dollars on the table. And it may not be necessarily all from that dollar amount. It may be from another pot that they might have. But I think that's the challenge right now, is to put the county make this the county's responsibility. And I believe they're going to be responsive to that. Once we get a permit to do it, and I would shoot for a permit sometime in late fall, conceivably, early mid-fall, if we're resolved to go forward. Those dollars typically become available in the spring. County council generally makes that allocation in the spring. And my belief is that's the way we should approach it. There are other sources there. I've been checking on the state trail dollars that are available. I'm feeling that there are going to be additional dollars that are available that are going to flow in here from the federal programs that are being pushed forward right now. I believe the county got a very hefty check from the federal government here as a result of the CARES Act. So there are dollars out there, but my attitude would be that the town, if to the extent that the town was put in a position to needing to contribute, it should really be focusing itself on some of the cost of the activity once we get across the road. The big dollars are really going to be in that first section of concrete and in the signal itself. And I feel that if we design it in such a way that you build the fundamental infrastructure for the entire future intersection while you're doing it, then everybody's going to be much better off going forward.
Yeah.
So,
and to add to that, Kevin, if you think about that last statement that Dean made there, if we're very cautious about the way we design it and bid it, then we'll be able to clearly identify enhancements that were made during our construction that reduces the cost to the developer later when he puts his intersection of the spine road, and those fees would be offset. And if we had to do any payback to anybody, that's how that could work. If you're thinking about kind of a longer term scenario, we enhance it now. This was money that was put up front. You would have spent it when you came anyway. So that's a reimbursement to maybe pay back somebody if we had to reimburse anybody for any money of this trail. I think that there are a lot of action. We did place this on the impact fee capital projects. If the impact fees are ever passed by the county and the town to collect impact fees, road impact fees, this project is on that as well. It's on the Park and Rec one as well. So there's a number of ways that it possibly could be funded as we go for it. But the hardest thing to get funding, and Dean knows this probably better than I do, is the hardest thing to get funding for is something that's not designed and ready to be built. And we're stuck in this quandary right now. We've got some money to design, but we've got to get the decision on exactly what it is we want designed and get that expressed.
Speaking of the spine road, have you seen, has that been put on the county's capital improvement projects list?
Yes, it has.
Right.
Dan's not here to confirm that, but it was on the list. We just haven't seen the list, but it was given to them to be put on the list.
Okay.
We're still waiting for that list. And the Hawk signal that Dean has referred to, just so everybody understands, that is a federal highway approved traffic signal for this type of a crossing. It's not something that's out of the norm. There are more than one in South Carolina. We happen to have one right here in Beaufort on Highway 170. In case you didn't know what it stands for, the Hawk does not have an abbreviation that actually fits the term. So that's why people have a tendency to forget what it stands for. But Hawk signal is a high intensity activated crosswalk. That's what a Hawk is, why it's called a Hawk rather than some other acronym. I can't answer, but that's what it stands for in the Federal Highway Administration.
Are we confident that a Hawk signal with people coming down off that bridge flying, safety questions, are the speed, I know we have the Hawk, I know where we have one, and is it similar numbers? Is it similar speeds? Is it similar sight, vision of sight? That worries me. People coming down that bridge. I know people fly, it's around a turn, and then all of a sudden there's a Hawk signal and
there are challenges.
a little kid's on a bicycle in the middle of the road.
But there are some other alternatives also to that, Councilman Phillips. Also, they have these speed grooves, I don't know what they call them, that they can put in advance also. When folks drop that bridge, also letting them know by hitting those grooves and so forth that helping now, because we have signage also. The signage drops the speed limits to 40 miles an hour. Folks do not comply with that, but also there's some other mechanism that can be put in place, like carving or etching those grooves on the asphalt in advance before they get once they get into that curve, also as a reminder.
Yeah, I think.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I think the speed limits are the same. Just so there was did you think about that right off the bat? So speed limit on Highway 170 crossing is 40.
Both, yes.
Limit at Rebo Road is 40. The speed limits are the same. Volume of traffic is probably fairly, we may be a little bit more intense sometimes than other times. Speed limit is same. I think you're right. There is a little bit of a sightline issue, but we all travel many, many highways in the States, and we've all seen where there is a kind of pre-warning light, where you see a light that's placed slightly up the road that's flashing to say that there's a red light ahead, or there's something going up just ahead around there. So there are ways to solve this problem, but nobody's going to look at how to solve it until we can affirm that this is what we want and where we want.
Well, I'll make a comment, and we all want to be as safe as possible. And Kevin, I agree with you. We don't want anybody to get hit. But let me remind people, we used to stop traffic right there with a train. So we know it's been done before, cars coming off that. We know we can do it.
Yes.
Now and like Mayor DeVito said, we've got to get something in place. We need to get something out there to the council, to Beaver County, and say, hey, this is what, and then we'll figure it out from there. But we know we've stopped traffic there before.
And I don't think anyone's ever sideswiped a train in that area.
I got you. Like I said, I would rather them run their car into a train than a family.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We all do.
Absolutely.
We don't want anybody running their car into anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, and like I said, I totally agree that we're all on the same page of that being the area, and that's where it needs to cross at. I'm just, like I said, we all drive that road, and we know how people come down off that bridge. So whatever we can do about that.
Yep. So I think I'm hearing council say that we're going to ask Van to prepare a resolution for next month's meeting. Am I hearing that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Not committing to, but that's what we're hearing, to get that resolution prepared, have it in front of us, and then we'll take an official vote and support that if we decide to do so.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Dean, thank you. Thank the friends, please. Thank you for all your hard work. I know they're all volunteers, and your guidance and the way you can find information and help us bring that information to us is an extremely, a lot of help to the town and what's going on here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm a Port Royal resident. So it is especially interesting and important to me to get this done right. So I appreciate the town's support immensely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I just got a text from Mary Beth saying that her computer died. I told her to come on down to town hall.
Okay. The next item is would normally be our council briefing from our town manager, as we've talked about. He did have something come up that he's not able to join us. I have the briefing open from last week that we were given at our workshop. He did not update me that there was anything that he needed to update us on that I can read to you or tell you, but I do have the briefing open. If anybody has any questions, I can highlight the sections if you want. Please tell me how you'd like to progress forward here. Or we could proceed along and not do this section. Please let me know what you want to do.
There are no changes. I think we can proceed along.
Agreed.
Kevin, you were muted.
I got you. I know my computer just reminded me of that too. So no, I was going to say, and with, consent of the council, one issue we talked about was and we talked about it the last town workshop, and the meeting before that, we talked about it at the retreat, and that just the issue of the town and the shrimp processing that we're in, considering the fact, we've had many discussions about this, and I believe that the council's all on the same page about the town being involved in the private business of shrimp processing, but still wanting to continue to support shrimping in the docks here in Port Royal and understanding how important they are. I mean, we're, lose hundreds of thousands of dollars this year. I think we're on track to lose, the number by our audit was $200,000 this year in the fish processing, the shrimp processing. I know we cannot take any votes or anything tonight, and I wouldn't want us to. I think it would be prudent to kind of direct town and Brooke at this point to put an action item on the agenda for next month, for May. And that gives us a month to kind of get together our thoughts of what looks like going forward. Kind of can get an inventory of what we have down there, what the town owns. And I agree. I think that, you know, I agree that the council would be in agreement with our conversations, that the motion being something along the lines of direct, you know, Van in the town to scale down and ultimately withdraw the town from the business of shrimp processing while the town continues to own and operate the shrimp docks. I just think would be time to kind of put something on there that we can actually vote on and discuss. Nothing tonight, but put it on an agenda item for next month's meeting, and that gives us a month to talk about it. If we need to have a special meeting, that's fine. We have we'll have the town workshop on the first Wednesday, and then just have something that we can actually discuss to what that looks like of the town getting out of the shrimp processing business, but still maintaining and operating the docks, the shrimp docks down there.
I concur with Councilman Phillips on that also. And, you know, if they could provide us even with what are the advantages? What are the downsides, pros and cons? So, but I echo and concur with everything that Councilman Phillips said.
Yeah,
I think at the last meeting, we talked about getting the redevelopment commission's plan that they had put together a while back and just revisiting that. Because I think we need to look at that. There needs to be a plan how to handle things moving forward, you know, as far as the actual, the docking, the ice, the offloading, et cetera. And we've got to resolve some ownership down there. We've got to resolve some dilapidated boats, some sunken boats, rent, building. There's a lot we need to do. I don't disagree, but there's some conversations we need to have before we move forward on a final decision. That's for sure.
I agree. And I think, Kevin, what you said, the one thing I'd add, when you say operating the dock, you're really talking about, and in some way encouraging shrimpers to still use this dock, but in some other fashion. Or rather than us, other processing. Very good. I think it's good. I think I know these meeting minutes will make sure that Brooke forwards this right away to the town manager so that he can start formulating that plan and bring that to us next month. I think he'll hear this. He'll probably get the opportunity later on to listen to this and understand exactly what our feelings were and what we want to do.
Yeah, and I think talking about it, discussing it at the town workshop is a good plan. Jerry's right. We got to have a plan afterwards. We can't just stop shrimp processing and then what are we going to do afterwards? But you know, I do think it's important for us to first thing to do is kind of stop the bleeding, and then we can figure out where we go from there. And you know, that's a huge number that stuck out to me when we had that audit, and just $200,000. You know, that's so.
Well, nothing's going on down there now, is it? There's not shrimp, maybe some long liner boats, but there's just not shrimp season, so nobody's offloading anything right now. Correct? Right.
No.
But it's going to start up pretty soon.
You're right. Around June, it'll start up, and we need to have something in place. That's for sure.
Yep. They need to know what they're going to do. Okay. Anything else from the council briefing? Any other items that we need to talk about? Everybody has that in front of them. Okay, we'll move on to the next section of our agenda. The next section is the two emergency ordinances. The first emergency ordinance is ordinance 20-21-9, an emergency ordinance for the town of Port Royal, South Carolina, to reestablish requiring individuals to wear face coverings in certain circumstances in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and matters related to thereto and servability. I think just so that we all know what's happening in Beaufort County. If you can give me a moment, I think I'll do a little quick summary of what happened this week in Beaufort County so that we all understand what's happening. We'll start with the county itself. The county itself chose not to re-extend theirs. They need a super majority vote because of the way the county council is. They had a 8-3, that was one shy of the super majority they needed to extend that. So their ordinance ended as of today, I believe, is the date that their ordinance ended. So that happened. Bluffton made the decision last night because of how intertwined Bluffton and the county is. You get out in that Highway 278 corridor, Target's in the county, the next building's in Bluffton. It's very, very complicated. They decided it would be better for their residents to end there so that the consistency would be a little bit better in that side. North of the Broadside, City of Beaufort, their ordinance will end at the end of this month on the 30th. They are through the 30th of the month is when theirs will end if they choose not to extend it. Reese, if I'm right, around the 26th, I think their meeting is. If they choose not to extend it around the 26th of this month, theirs would end on the 30th of this month. 25th. Okay. Ours ends after tonight if we choose not to extend it and move forward in that way. I think we are absolutely getting to the point that the mask ordinances can start to be, backed off, strongly encouraged, maybe not as much of a mandate, but I also think there's some consistency with our neighboring city that maybe if we decide together to just end them both on the same day so that everybody knows, and if you're at Burger King on Rebo Road, right now you'd have to wear a mask if our ends and go across the street to Piggly Wiggly and you wouldn't. So the confusion I think is very difficult for our citizens and community. And, I would lean towards, I wish that we had all gotten together as governmental agencies, the county with the lead, because they were first, to talk with all of us and say, hey guys, why don't we do this so that everybody understands and do it consistently on a single day? That did not occur, and we're stuck in this position. So that's the summary of where we are. Council, it's your decision. Please, we can start a motion. We can just have more conversation, whatever you'd like to do.
I like the thought of extending ours to coincide with the city of Beaufort's so that there's some consistency there. That's my opinion.
I agree with Jerry.
Okay, very good. Mary Beth, I'm glad you made it. Sorry that you had a problem with that.
Well, I'm leaving this thing here so they can try to fix it.
Very good. And that's a great way to adapt and overcome. So I do think we need to also have the conversation that we have received a number of public comment asking us to end the mask ordinance. I just want to make sure that you know that there's been 4 or 5 that have come in asking us to end the mask ordinance.
At least 4 or 5 via email, plus phone calls and other text messages just throughout the week from other people.
Yeah. And I think, like you're saying, so that's part of what we need to understand of what's happening in the public eye as well. So anything else anybody would like to add?
No. When did City of Beaufort was going to run theirs to when did you say, Chief Bartow?
30th.
April 30th.
And I can't speak for them. They're going to take up the debate on the 27th. And so I don't know what the outcome of that will be.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that's with what Chief just said. I mean, I'm inclined for us to not extend ours at this point. I mean, the great numbers coming out earlier this week where, what was it? 78% of all Beaufort County residents over the age of 65 have now been vaccinated. That's almost 80% of the, at-risk population. The vaccine is now open to anyone that wants it. I just pulled up on the Island Packet. Our 7-day average is now 9 cases per day. We're in the single digits daily average. So I do understand that if, Beaufort County, if the city of Beaufort does end theirs, that is 2 weeks from now. So I'm kind of just like, at this point, why not just go ahead and do it?
I think we do need to look at our neighbors also and look that we are being consistent. I'm not saying that we should retire this ordinance, but I think we can relax it, for a better word, and just continue to monitor that. So not to retire it or throw it away, but let's go ahead and relax it and see what happens after at the end of this month. So I agree with Councilman Phillips on that as well.
Joe, Mayor, I wonder if you could talk to the CEO of the hospital and see what his recommendations are. And then let's get with the city of Beaufort and town of Hilton Head. I agree with the rest of them. Let's all be consistent across the board. So you're kind of not going in one place and in another, and everybody has a different rule. But I mean, I think we really need to hear from the medical community.
That conversation has occurred. What we're doing is not what they're recommending, and I think they voiced that Monday at the county council as well. The administration of the hospital and the hospital doctors would rather have that their goal would have been that the population, not by age group, but the population of Beaufort County reached the kind of the 70% vaccinated before the mask requirements went away. I think
What if,
we're not there. I mean, we know we're not there, and the largest mass the county has stopped there. So we are, whatever, you know, that's, we already know that answer. I think
Well,
go ahead, Kevin.
well, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think, you know, the statement about relaxing it, you know, the current ordinance does require somebody to wear a mask. It says require. We could, you know, we could modify this to remove the word require and say strongly encourage, and, you know, pass it again as just a strongly encourage, and it no longer becomes a mandate. And that is kind of the in-between of what the hospital's looking for, and obviously what's happened at the county. We strongly encourage you to wear a mask. There would be nothing, there would be no fines or anything associated with that. Obviously, we'd have to reword the ordinances that is here. That could be part of a motion, that this ordinance changes to a strongly encourage.
And that's why I said we weren't doing away with it, right? Right.
And I agree with Mary Beth, looking towards the medical community in this with, that's kind of the issue though I've had with when they say those numbers. What if we never get 70% total population? What if 35% of Beaufort County doesn't and never wants to get a vaccine, and the most we ever get is 60 or 65 as a total? I mean, what if we just, if that number's never hit, then what's the answer then?
It's a good point, Councilman. It's a good point. So, you know, again, little bit of a decision we need to make tonight. There's a couple of options on the table. Motion to not approve it, to just let it die. A motion to approve it for some other time frame than our standard, or a motion to change it to a strongly encourage. Kind of where we are.
If the motion dies, that means the current ordinance remains in place, in effect.
No, because we do it month by month. If we do not
Oh,
extend it tonight, it automatically dies at midnight tonight. Because of the way we have been doing it, we've been doing it from council meeting to council meeting. Where others have done it by a date, like the city of Beaufort, they were doing 60 days, which got them to the 30th. The county was doing 61 days, which got them till today, you know, so they're all different. We were doing it by council meeting to council meeting. So if there is no vote to extend it tonight, then it dies tonight at midnight. If we alter it in any way, then it's however we choose to alter it.
So we can alter it and it remains in effect for the duration of this month.
Well, you could alter it in multiple ways. You could say that you're altering it to strongly encourage until the 30th. You can alter it and say strongly encourage until next council meeting, where you would then either let it die or do it again.
Okay.
I'm personally, I'm okay with us making it to in the you know, heart of cooperation and coordination with the city of Beaufort. When would theirs die?
April 30th.
April 30th, midnight.
So I would be okay with us extending it, but that would be a hard deadline on ours, and that's 2 more weeks. And if in the city of Beaufort, if they do, if they don't, whatever they do, and we're done on the 30th. But to give them that opportunity to kind of sync up with us, I'm okay with that for 2 weeks, to just in the sense of, you know, cooperation and coordination with the town that we do butt up with. Absolutely.
Well, let's make a motion then. You want to take a stab at it, or you want me to? I'll make a motion to have our ordinance expire on April the 30th, but to continue to strongly encourage mask wearing, but it not be an emergency ordinance after April the 30th.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for our ordinance to be extended only until midnight, April 30th. But we are encouraging, and after that point, we are encouraging our citizens to strongly encouraging them to wear masks when appropriate. Is that correct, Jerry? Is that covered?
Yes, sir. We've got a motion and a second, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for question. Mary Beth, you're sitting to his right, which makes you first now. Mary Beth.
Well, I can't do that. I can't support it based on, I feel like that the input from the hospital, our medical community, they know what's best for us. And at this point, I would have to say that I'm not in favor until the hospital says, okay, I think we've vaccinated enough. The state said we've vaccinated enough, and then let's move forward. I would be not doing the thing I feel is in my best interest for the community. So everybody vote the way you want, but I think the medical community has to have some input. We look for them when we put the ordinance on. Before we take it off, we really should be looking to them and talking with them and saying, should we make some changes, or should we just take it off completely? But I think they really should give us a little bit of advice that we should be following. Thank you.
Very good. Jerry,
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Darrell,
Aye.
and the mayor's aye as well. So at this point, Brooke, we're going to need to make those adjustments to the ordinance, and I'll come back in and sign a new one. The next item on our agenda is the emergency ordinance reauthorizing emergency ordinance 2026 related to electronic meetings and other matters. That will allow us to, again, this ordinance gives us the ability to do that slow rollback that we've agreed upon to getting back to our normal standard meetings that we need for 2 more months.
I move that we continue with that ordinance in the interim.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. Now this is something that we talked about at some point, even after everything's in our rearview mirror, we could potentially continue this. It's not going to be the norm. It would be the exception.
Correct.
How do we address that? At what point do we discuss that?
I know that the town manager has been working with the municipal association to get that kind of best way to do the language.
Okay.
That we really may not need anything, but we may choose to do a policy. It may not have or a procedure to put in place, and he is doing that. We'll need this to kind of get us to that point of July where we'll all be back in the room. By then we'll have that answer in front of us.
But there are certain circumstances for all of us where we might not meet in person. Moving forward, we found out that this Zoom is a pretty good way to have a meeting, and should the opportunity arise that we do it like this, I think it's okay, long as it's the exception and not the norm.
Okay. Any other comment?
No,
Hearing none. Mary Beth, lead us off, please.
Mary Beth, aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin
Aye.
Phillips says aye. Mayor's aye. Thank you, everybody. Okay, the next section of our agenda is our first reading. We have a first reading of ordinance 20-21-11, an ordinance amending the zoning code to include section 3.3.70 coastal resilience overlay zone standard. We've had a briefing on this. We have 2 people on tonight that can answer questions. We have Rob Merchant and we have Linda Bridges is also online for questions about this ordinance. We have received public comment. I hope if everybody's seen it, and there are some that have been asked to be read in, and we can do that at any point. But council, if you have any questions for Rob or Linda.
I don't have any questions, and I don't know when the right time to talk about this one and 2021-12. But when, if we can talk about them, collectively, or you tell me when, I do have some, some thoughts on as it relates to these two, as far as how I'd like to see us proceed.
So you're thinking that you would like to see A and B being ordinance 20-21-12 and ordinance A 20-21-11 be treated as a group at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One of the options, it appears that we would like to have some discussion. One of the options here is somebody can make a motion for the purpose of discussion only, get a second, and then we can start openly talking about it for items A and B.
I'll make a motion to combine items A and B so we can talk about them for discussion reasons here tonight.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. So all in favor of that? So we're combining option 2021-11, 2021-12 for the purpose of discussion. All in favor? Mary Beth, lead us off.
Aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Gerald Owens, aye.
Kevin, aye.
And the mayor's also aye. Open discussion. What you got, Jerry?
Well, I don't know. I think I think we need time to explore the possibility of amending what may already be in place. I think that there have been groups that have gone before Beaufort County Natural Resources, if I'm not mistaken. I think they went before them back in April. And then it was withdrawn from the April agenda, the two ordinances, and it was reset to the May agenda. So I know other municipalities are not even considering the adoption of it. I still think there's, in my opinion, I'd like to see this go before county council, here's some discussion there. And then, we postpone it tonight, and then we bring it back after it's gone through county, at least give them the opportunity to present before the Beaufort County Natural Resources Committee. That's what I'd like to see.
When are they presenting?
And May the 3rd, because I think we don't want to create redundancy and we don't want to create confusing policy. And I think maybe we'll get some clarity after the May 3rd meeting. We're just talking a couple of weeks, and I just think it's the right thing to do.
I think, Jerry, to highlight what you're talking about there is one public comment that was specifically asked to be read into the record, and it addresses a little bit of what you're talking about. So if it's okay with council, I will read this into the record now. Is council okay with that?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so it says, Dear Mayor DeVito and council members and town staff, on behalf of the 1,800 members of Beaufort, Jasper County Realtors Association, and the Hilton Area Realtors Association, we respectfully request that you table the discussion on the Coastal Resiliency Overlay Ordinance and the Fill Ordinance. After a meeting with the county staff to discuss these two ordinances, our association, along with the Hilton Area Home Builders Association, have concerns and questions which have not yet been fully addressed by county staff. Additionally, after meeting and sharing some of the preliminary concerns and questions with Alice Howard, Chair of the Natural Resource Committee, the Natural Resource Committee elected not to add the two ordinances to the April 5th agenda, giving us time to finalize our research and to present all questions, concerns to the county staff and to the Natural Resource Committee prior to the May 3rd meeting. As to the fill ordinance, we understand that the community was very concerned and upset with the massive amount of fill that was brought in for the Walmart on Ladies Island, and rightly so. So we all want to protect the environment and what makes our community special. But it is our understanding that there are already a number of building code standards and ordinances in place that could be amended so that a similar situation could not occur again. Rather than creating another ordinance, we are asking for a pause on the new fill ordinance to allow staff time to explore the possibilities of amending what is already in place to address these concerns. As to the coastal resilience overlay zone, it is our belief that the ordinance is necessary as state law already requires flood disclosure. That the ordinance is unnecessary as the state law already requires flood disclosure. As you can see from the attached letter we sent to the Beaufort County Planning Commission, there are numerous state forms that are used in connection with the sale of property during the closing process, which already addresses the issue of flood disclosure. I would also like to share that according to the local insurance agents, we do not have any flooding issues until and since the last two hurricanes. The flooding from those events were primarily on the barrier islands with the few spotty exceptions. We do not have a widespread flooding problem in Beaufort County and only an infrastructure and drainage problem in some areas. If the property is not located in a special flood hazard, we should not be creating a new coastal resilience overlay zone, which potentially encompasses property that, according to the flood maps, does not lie within an area that requires owners to purchase flood insurance. This is not only confusing but to the potential buyer, but provides contradictory information. We should rely on the approved flood maps, not hypothetical, and only utilize flood map information and disclose already in place what is required by South Carolina law. I would also like to point out that Bluffton, Hilton Head are not considering adopting these ordinances, and we hope that you take an action unless Beaufort County adopts either or both. Since we are not available to address council meeting tonight, we respectfully request that this comments be read in. We would happy to meet with you, answer any questions at a later date. Janet Grissom, CEO, Beaufort Jasper County Realtors Association. So she did not, she said we did not need to read the letter. She just wanted the body of the email read. Probably was more than 2 minutes, but there it is.
Yeah, I'll state, because they brought up other municipalities in there. I've looked at these ordinance. I personally think that they're good. I understand that one is essentially a disclosure that as a seller and from my the legal side of my mind, I don't know why you wouldn't want a disclosure. It seems like that would kind of cover you and your your dealings. As far as the issues with the fill, I mean, I'm happy that we haven't had any flooding from the past two hurricanes, but these ordinances are intended to protect the future, which we do not know what will happen. I mean, I hear many people talk about how they don't, the fill and build model leads to a lot of problems. We see what's going on in the city of Charleston and how much they've done that there. And so it really looks to just kind of encourage alternative ways of development. I mean, it's an interesting place where you're at conservation and development and that intersection. And how do we do that going forward? I think it's an opportunity for Port Royal to lead and, do what's right for our town and our land and our developer and our development and our future. I mean, we just talked about coordination with our sister city. I believe the city of Beaufort did pass this ordinance. So they actually have enacted this and they're our next door neighbors. To the idea of tabling it, I think that a way to handle this and kind of would make everybody happy with this, if they're having their meeting on May 3rd, we have to have 2 readings on this. It's an ordinance. So I think
a public hearing.
So I think we pass it tonight. That's not anything. That moves it to our next meeting for a second reading. By that time, we've had a month to research. The county's had their meeting. We can have a public meeting like Mayor DeVito said, and then in a month, we're teed up. If we want to go forward, we've already had the first hearing. And if for some reason we don't, we can table it or withdraw it at that time. But right now, I just think a first reading, a vote yes on a first reading really does nothing except send it down the road for a second reading. So nothing gets enacted tonight. It's got to go through 2 readings. So essentially is tabling it for a month by giving it a vote yes on the ordinance tonight. It's got to go through 2. So why not go ahead and get this first reading out the way and let's spend the next month seeing what happens and then come back to it at the May meeting.
There is a third option there, Kevin, to what you said, and we can break from a little bit from our norm again to give us time to what Jerry was talking about. Is if we were to do something with the first reading tonight, part of that motion could be to approve it on the first reading, and that next month only do the public hearing, and then the following month do the second reading. So that gives you 60 days from today. So then we have the opportunity to have the public hearing after the county meeting, and the associations and the people that want to speak for us will speak to us. We'll be able to do that at our public hearing in May. And then we would not again make a decision that night. We would have then 30 days to review everything and information, and we would not make our decision then until June. So that could be added to the motion, again, there's lots of options here to extend out and give us the time, but yet keep the process moving forward and us all collecting the data and the
I
information.
can support that.
Yeah.
Well, I never said anything about tabling, so let's, for the record, I said postponing it.
Right, both two
And
totally
I said postpone, two totally different things here. I
Okay.
feel strongly that we need to postpone this until the May meeting. And that's what I would support. So I'm gonna make an order, I'm gonna make a motion to postpone ordinance 2021-11, 2021-12 until our May meeting after first reading. And that'll give the county time to meet, and then we could pick it up at our May meeting.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to postpone ordinance 20-21-11, 20-21-12 until our May meeting. I need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
I think we just covered it. I think what you mentioned was a great alternative, that we vote on the motion as it is tonight, have a public workshop, and then, I mean, by that time, if we don't have all the answers we need in 60 days, I mean, we should have them by then. So I think so.
Okay, any further discussion? Motion on the table is postponed until the May meeting. Mary Beth, lead us off.
Aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, no.
Mayor's aye. Okay, we are on item C, ordinance 20-21-13, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate the construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcel 376, approximately 50 feet on 15th Street. Brooke, do you have an item you can display? Okay, everybody can see the area now on 15th Street. Madrid and 15th. What's the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve the motion as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Brooke, any comment on this?
No, sir.
Very good. Mary Beth, can you lead us off?
Aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
The mayor's aye. Next ordinance, ordinance D, ordinance 20-21-14. It's ordinance authorizing the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of a sidewalk within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcel 112B, again, 50 feet on 15th Street. This is going to be right next door. So we're getting 100 feet.
Again, I move that we approve motion as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's go ahead and vote. Same order, please.
Mary Beth, aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin, aye.
Mayor's aye as well. We're up to item E, ordinance 20-21-15, an ordinance authorizing the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate a construction of a sidewalk within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcels 106A, 460, 461, approximately 193 feet on Old Shell Road. This is extending down from 16th Street, a little bit in that area towards El Sueño. It's up on the map if you have any questions. Brooke, any comments on this one?
No, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah,
So
that's a
moved.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, that's a math project there. I like that.
Okay, go ahead and let's take the vote. Same order, please.
Aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Gerald Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mayor's eye as well. That's going to be, that's 200, almost 200 feet of sidewalk. Every foot counts.
Nice.
We've still got a couple more to go tonight. Ordinance 20-21-16, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate the construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcels 67B, 453, 100 feet on 8th Street.
I move that we approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
No, sir.
Let's go ahead and take the vote in the same order, please.
Mary Beth, aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Gerald Owens, aye.
Mayor's eye. Kevin, did I hear you?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry, just want to make sure. And the last one for sidewalks is ordinance 20-21-17, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate the construction of a sidewalk within a town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcels 370, 369, 368, 158, approximately 148 feet on 12th Street.
I move that we approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take the vote in the same order.
Mary Beth, aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Gerald Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
And the mayor's eye as well. The guys, just so that we could talk a little bit about those, because we had a number of them just now. I have asked Van to find out if there is a way for us to put them into something like a consent agenda where we can group them when we have a bunch in the future. He's checking on it because we do understand there's some property transfer to make those happen. So we want to make sure that we can legally do that. But, we have to buy ordinance to kind of transfer property. So he's going to look into that to see if there's a way we can bring them together to kind of help us when they have such a large group like that may come forward, because we want them to keep coming forward.
And there is a way also, and if there's a discrepancy with one, we can also make a motion to extract that one from the pack.
That's correct. We could pull it out of the consent agenda. So he was going to look into that for us and let us know if there's a way to do that.
There is.
Good. So we're up to some resolutions. We have two resolutions tonight. Resolution 2-20-21, a resolution regarding the non-discrimination of the bias of disabilities as established by Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act as amended by the American Disabilities Act of 1990. Sorry, I got to get that up for myself. I will go ahead and read that into the record. A resolution regarding the non-discrimination of the bias of disabilities and establishing a Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act as amended and the American with Disabilities Acts of 1990. Whereas the Congress of the United States has passed Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which requires that no otherwise qualified individual with a disability shall be solely on the basis of his or her disability be excluded from the participation in and be denied the benefits of or be subject to the discrimination under any program, services, or activity receiving federal assistances. And whereas the town of Port Royal has applied for and received community block development grants and is required to comply with Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And whereas the failure to comply with the terms and condition of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act may cause the town to lose its grant and eligibility for future grants, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and town council of the town of Port Royal, duly assembled and with the authority of the same to adopt the following section. Section 1 is it is the policy of the town that all programs, activities shall be accessible to and usable by qualified persons with disabilities in accordance with Section 504 of the American Disabilities Act. Section 2, the town shall conduct self-evaluations with the assistance of the Citizens Review Committee involved in individuals with disability or its programs, policies, procedures to facilitate its and determine that those areas where discrimination may occur. Section 3, the town shall, upon completion of the self-evaluation plan, make revisions, modifications, or changes as so fully to comply with the letter of Section 504. And Section 4, further, the town shall, where building modifications are required, developed and implemented a transition plan for eliminating structural barriers in a timely manner in accordance with Section 504 of the American Disabilities Act. It further be resolved, the town of Port Royal shall publish the resolution yearly in the local newspaper. What's the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve the resolution as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take the vote in the same order, please.
Mary Beth, I.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
And the mayor's aye as well. The next resolution is the Fair Housing Resolution. Resolution 3-20-21. Whereas April 8, 2021 marks the 53rd anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, as amended by the state South Carolina and enacted by South Carolina Fair Housing Law in 1989. Both support the policy of fair housing without regards race, color, creed, national origin, sex, family status, or handicap, and encourages fair housing opportunity for all citizens. And whereas the town of Port Royal is committed to addressing discrimination in our communities to support the programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities and to plan partnership efforts with other organizations to help assure that the citizens of their rights to fair housing. And whereas the town of Port Royal rejects discrimination on the basis of race, religion, color, sex, national origin, disability, family status, familiar status, and the sale, rental, and provision of other housing services. And whereas the town of Port Royal desires that all of its citizens be afforded the opportunity to attain decent, safe, sound living environment, now therefore be it resolved that the town council and the town of Port Royal, South Carolina, does hereby designate April 21 as Fair Housing Month and recognizes the policy supporting fair housing and encouraging all citizens to endorse the fair housing opportunities, not all to only during Fair Housing Month throughout the year. Pleasure.
I move that we approve this resolution on fair housing.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the question to vote. Mary Beth?
Mary Beth is I.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Yeah, the mayor's aye as well. We've got section 10. We've got council actions. We have 2 appointments tonight. We have Metropolitan Planning Commission. We have 2 applicants that we interviewed last week at our workshop, the Wendy Czar and David Strange. What is the pleasure of council?
I make a motion to appoint Wendy Zara to the Metro Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Same order, please.
Mary Beth, I.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mayor's aye. Welcome,
Well,
Wendy, to the Metropolitan Planning Commission. David, if you're on tonight, I'm not sure if you're here, please, we'd ask you to please come back again. There'll be more in the future. The next is a redevelopment commission. We have 2 seats. And we have two applicants. And we interviewed both of them last week as well.
Motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we put Rad Ward and Mar Decker on that committee.
Thank you, Mary Beth. You jumped in before I got the names. Thanks for saying the names. So thank you very much. We have a motion and we got a second to appoint Mayor Decker and Rand Ward to the Redevelopment Commission. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take the vote.
Mary Beth, aye.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Gerald Owens, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
And the mayor is aye as well. Sorry, I lost my agenda in moving through that section. Had to bring it back up.
Important dates and information.
Thank you. Want to read them off, Jerry?
Yes, sir. April 20th, 2021, 4:30 p.m. Redevelopment Commission meets. That's the only thing that we've got on the agenda at this time.
Well, they got some new members that'll be broken in on that night. We're at council comments. Anybody?
Yeah.
Darryl, go ahead.
The only thing I have, Mayor, I do commend you, and particularly for your leadership and your commitment to the town of Port Royal in the midst of your time of bereavement. And so your participating and being here present tonight speaks volume for your leadership and your dedication to the town. So your family, you and your family definitely have my condolences and prayer.
I want to echo what Darryl said. Mayor, I can't imagine the pain that you've experienced this week, and I can't imagine what you've been through. But I know I've talked to you on the phone several times. You're conducting the meeting here tonight, and in the midst of everything that you got going on. You lost your mother this week, but you're still here. I want to let you know from the bottom of my heart, my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family as you go through this.
Yes, and I'll have to echo the two of them. You know, it really does speak volume for you to be here and be on with us tonight and lead us as a leader in our community. It's a big thing. I know what you're going through because I lost mine. So I do understand where you're coming from. But our thoughts and prayers are with you. I've talked to you a couple of times this week too, just to let you know we're here if you need something. And, you know, please pass on prayers and condolences to your family.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for those words. It's you're right, difficult times. And I appreciate everybody's help to get us to this point tonight and doing the business of the town. Any other comments? And Jerry, this is a prime example of how the ability to do Zoom may help us in the future when something like this, hopefully nobody ever has it to deal with this in the future, but it comes up, it'll help us do that.
Yes, sir.
Any other public comment? Yeah, excuse me, council comment. I'll open it up to public comment. Brooke, do we have anything that we need to read that was non-agenda items?
No, sir.
Very good. Kevin?
I mean, it was an agenda item. We did have a comment from the Coastal Conservation League regarding the ordinances that wasn't read. And, you know, we did read the letter from the Home Builders Association. So thought I'd mention that.
I apologize if I missed one in organizing myself tonight. Kevin, if you have it in front of you, there's no reason why it can't be read in at this point.
Okay.
Hearing on the record.
It was, yeah, it was sent at 1:33 to everybody. Dear Town Council, thank you for the opportunity to comment on the behalf of the Coastal Conservation League regarding the above listed agenda items, which will require property disclosures for our lowest lying lands and limit the amount of fill dirt that can be used to elevate development in our lowest lying areas. Beaufort County's low country landscape is in extensive waterways are some of the features that make this area such a desirable place to live, work, and retire. But those same features also make us one of the most vulnerable areas to the impacts of climate change, from increases in flooding, storm events, rising sea levels, and beyond. Both of the ordinance before you are tools that will allow us to better and more responsibly manage how we grow in the floodplain. helping to ensure people and property are kept out of harm's way while also protecting and retaining the healthy functioning of our natural systems. The Conservation League applauds the town of Port Royal's proactive approach to promoting public safety, health, and general welfare by addressing these issues now. Both of these ordinances are important, reasonable measures intended to improve how we live and develop in the floodplain and arose from the Ladies Island Plan. As an education tool, the Coastal Resilience Overlay will help to protect and prepare those living in the floodplain, making them and their properties more resilient. As a smart growth measure, the fill standards responsibly accommodate growth in the floodplain while protecting neighboring properties from disrupted natural stormwater function. Over the past year and a half, staff from the Beaufort County and municipalities, including the town of Port Royal, have worked to incorporate input from a diverse and wide array of stakeholders in drafting these ordinances, from science researchers and educators to realtors associations and the development community to the conservation community. These efforts resulted in the reasonable and responsible growth management tools before you this evening, which we hope will meet with your vote for approval. Thank you for your consideration and for these significant matters, as well as your time and dedication in the long-term health and vibrancy of our community. Respectfully, Jesse White, South Coast Office Director of the Coastal Conservation League.
Kevin, thank you, and I'm sorry I did not see that one as well to add to my read list tonight. And we'll be
Sir, to go back, we actually did have one more that was asked to be read into record. I can put it up on a share screen if you'd like.
Yep, let's do it. I had no access to a printer tonight. Brooke, can you just make it a touch bigger?
How's that?
Very good. Somebody have something? Okay. Dear Mayor and council members and town staff, on behalf of the Hilton Head Area Home Builders Association, representing nearly 450 building industry firms that live and serve within Beaufort, Hampton, and Jasper County, I am writing today to express our concerns with the agenda item A and B. Our association has had multiple meetings with the county staff and fellow Hilton Head and Beaufort Jasper Realtors Association members to discuss the ordinance and its ramification and implementation. We ask that you table discussion on this topic and request from staff for more information as to it relates to what is already in place via current building codes and standards and ordinance. We understand that the county's concerned with this projects like the Walmart on Ladies Island that promoted not only their concerns, but the local community who cares about the environmental issues surrounding our areas and precious resource. Our combined groups believe that a well thought through amendment to current ordinances, especially within adopting with the new FEMA flood maps, could suffice versus creating a redundant ordinance that eliminates, add work to staff, load unnecessary expenditures that cause confusion to what is currently in place for an ordinance. We have asked the county staff to provide a map overviewing the real property and parcels that will be affected by these new ordinances, as it is unclear of the impact in the unincorporated Beaufort County. Attaches a letter sent to the Beaufort County Planning Commission and shared with the members of Beaufort County Natural Resource Committee outlining the immediate concerns. There are additional concerns that our respective organization and drafting to present at the next Natural Resource Committee meeting scheduled on May 3rd, 2021. We simply encourage you to review all current standards and to ensure that you are not creating policy that is redundant and confusing. There are too many unknowns to make a decision on this today. We encourage staff to provide clarification, concerns, and better weight in understanding the decision and to adopt. I'm not sure if there's anything more. There it is. I am happy to help. However, I can please let me know, and I will participate in a roundtable discussion with respective groups. Very good. Thank you, Brooke.
No problem, sir.
Anything else for the good of the business of the town of Port Royal tonight?
Real quick, sorry, I got another
Oh.
public comment that somebody asked me to mention this. They don't have ability to, for some reason, leave a message or join the Zoom meeting. So they wanted me to ask about, ask council, where are we with joining the Greater Beaufort Port Royal Convention and Bureau Visitor Bureau? That decision we made back with the
Kevin, I have already received an email regarding that, and the town is a member of that organization, and we're all up to speed on that.
cool. All right, they asked me to ask, so.
Very good. It's a non-agenda item. Perfect time to do it. Anything else of the business, the good of the business of the town of Port Royal? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Thank you,
Second.
everybody. Have a good night.
Good night,
See ya.
everybody.